Thing to say. Hello, hi everyone, and welcome back to this channel. So I shuffled up the deck. I pulled out the card on top. Well, I pulled out the card on top for the SKT, and it was the Chancellor, Justice. Today I'm going to be talking about Minos, the last of the three kings, the last of the three judges. And the Sun, the warrior, was at the bottom of the deck. So the Chancellor and the warrior. And then in the SKT, in the Wild Unknown, the Fool came out again with the Mother of Wands from pile 2 yesterday, I believe. And on the bottom of the deck it's still here, Judgment. And I was like, ooh. So we got the Sun and Judgment at the bottom of the decks. We have Justice, the Fool, and the Mother of Wands, Queen of Wands energy. But I think it's more so the Fool. It's coming from that Mother of Wands. I don't know. So I had a really interesting dream last night. Also, I decided to take the thing down because after this evening, I'm not going to have any time to go live until I go home because I'm going to be hanging out with my friend and his girlfriend. So, and he was like, oh, we're going to be in. I mean, I was talking about being out in nature, but he was like, yeah, we're going to be hiking or whatever. He was like, a 3-hour hike. I was like, 3 hours? Oh, my gosh. And it'll probably be both days, tomorrow and Sunday. And the weather's going to be nice this weekend, so I won't complain about it. But that's why I decided to go ahead and take it down early, because I wasn't thinking. That way I don't have anything sitting for several days. And I don't know if it's because Minos, M-I-N-O-S. I don't know if it's because like I have these water filters that filter out fluoride or whatever now or what, but these dreams just keep getting crazier and crazier. I'm like, oh my gosh. And Greek mythology, Minos. Okay, so let's do that timestamp thing again while I do this so I don't have to do it later. So 0000, I'm gonna say rant or intro. And so the myth, the man, and then we'll leave room for anything else. So I'm actually gonna timestamp this for 3 minutes and we'll get right into it because I have a few things I need to do before this evening. All right. So, Minos. In Greek mythology, Minos, probably Minos, was a king of Crete, son of Zeus and Europa. Oh, brother of Rhadamanthus. I was like, Zeus and Europa, they had another kid, Rhadamanthus. Every 9 years, he made King Aegeus pick 7 young boys and 7 young girls to be sent to Daedalus's creation, the Labyrinth, to be eaten by the Minotaur. After his death, Minos became a judge of the dead in the underworld. He sent people to be sacrificed. So I don't know if it's that son of Zeus connection in this one that gets him to be a judge. But so far, and it makes sense with these judges, big judges of the dead who were mortal. There's a little bit of like a Christ consciousness, bodhisattva, like saint type. I think it's a bodhisattva. I don't really know anything about bodhisattvas, so if it's not, I apologize. But it's like a saint-like bodhisattva, Christ consciousness sort of energy. It's an energy where we're sort of recognized for who and how we are in the mortal world before we make it to the afterlife, and then we get rewarded for it. So I do want to see the nature of this labyrinth. This is the nature of the labyrinth. I'm going to see also the sacrifice. What is the sacrifice? Both of the cards came out face down. And usually these turn around face up. So, I mean, it's fitting because it's the labyrinth that it should be mysterious. The sacrifice is the necromancer, which is the moon. Bottom of the deck is the blind seer, the Two of Swords. So the sacrifice it's basically like we have to be willing to go into the darkness. willing to trust that the divine, that spirit will guide us while we're there. And with this being the necromancer card, in that space, we're going to find something, probably a piece of ourselves. And it makes sense that it would be in a labyrinth. Daedalus was like famous for his contraptions, and he designed the labyrinth. I think his son was Icarus, and he's the one that invented the wings. And he was like, Icarus, don't fly too high. And Icarus was like, screw you, Dad, I'm free. And then he flew too high, and the sun melted his wings. But in Greek mythology, the sun was pulled by Apollo, I believe. Apollo pulled the sun across the sky. So maybe there's a little Apollo connection in there somewhere. I've never thought about that. And then we'll do mythological Minos. Wife Pasiphae, or some say Crete. He fathered Ariadne, Androgeus, Deucalion, Phaedra, Glaucus, Catrius, Acacalus, and Xenodice. I think Glaucus was a warrior. It means grayish blue or bluish green. He was a Cretan prince. One day while playing with a ball or chasing a mouse, Glaucus fell into a jar of honey and died. Oh, what? Okay, so he wasn't a warrior. He died in a jar of honey. Unable to find their son, his parents went to the oracle at Delphi, who told them, "A marvelous creature has been born amongst you. Whoever finds the true likeness for this creature will also find the child." They interpret this to refer to a newborn calf in Minos' herd. 3 times a day, the calf changed color from white to red to black. Polytus, or Asclepius, god of medicine, observed the similarity to the ripening of the fruit of the mulberry, or possibly the blackberry plant, and Minos sent him to find Glaucus. Searching for the boy, Polytus saw an owl driving bees away from a wine cellar in Minos' palace. Inside the wine cellar was a cask of honey with Glaucus dead inside. Minos demanded Glaucus be brought back to life, though Polytus objected. Minos was justified in his insistence, as the Delphic oracle had said that the seer would restore the child alive. Minos shut Polyidus up in the wine cellar with a sword. When a snake appeared nearby, Polyidus killed it with the sword. Another snake came for the first, and after seeing its mate dead, the second serpent left and brought back an herb, which then brought the first snake back to life. Following this example, Polyidus used the same herb to resurrect Glaucus. Minos refused to let Polyidus leave Crete until he taught Glaucus the art of divination. Oh, okay. This is wild. Polyidus did so, but then at the last second before leaving, he asked Glaucus to spit in his mouth. Glaucus did so and forgot everything he had been taught. The story of Polyidus and Glaucus was the subject of a lost play attributed to Euripides. Glaucus later led an army that attacked Italy, introducing to them the military girdle and shield. This was the source of his Italian name, Labicus, meaning girdled. Glaucus had a daughter called Deiphebe, who was a priestess of Phobos Apollo, and Diana Trivia, who features in the Aeneid in Book 6. So there is that link to Apollo. That was wild, but as a one-off, there is something here. That herb, I feel like, is going to be key. There's some kind of something being resurrected. What's up with this herb? This magical herb. Let's see. Oh gosh, that's too many cards. I've been taking everything. That's 3 and 5, 6. That's 9 cards. So the 2 of Wands, the 2 of Orbs, the 7 of Orbs, and the High Priestess. They were outside all of this. With that High Priestess, I'm tempted to say, like, I won't even pull. The Two of Pentacles is about being in between worlds. Or the Two of Wands, sorry. The Two of Wands is about being in between worlds. That wasn't the Seven of Wands, was it? It was the Eight of Wands. So that's 10 Wands. Okay. So the Two of Wands is about being in between worlds. The Eight of, I keep saying Wands. The Two of Orbs, Two of Pentacles is about being in between worlds. The Eight of Orbs, Eight of Pentacles is about mastery. It's funny because this card literally popped into my mind. Because I did, well, I guess I'll talk about it, even though I didn't plan on talking about it here. Because in the bathroom before I did this, I was like, because I was thinking about my dream, and I was like, I don't necessarily want to go into it, but if I see the Eight of Orbs in the SKT, I'll talk about it. In this deck, the Eight of Orbs, there's something that she's working on. She's gaining the runes. She has 3 out of I don't know how many runes. The runes have been featured lately in the Ace of Swords that kept coming out in the Tarot Apocalypsis. So there she is working with a limited selection of runes to create this. And after this, she'll reach a certain level of mastery that unfolds that whole forest of mystery behind her. And so with the High Priestess coming out, whatever that herb is, whatever the magic that can resurrect something, the necromancer is right here. Oh, literally the necromancer bringing something back to life. It'll be discovered along the way. So I don't have to pull for that. That was just a very interesting story. I'm not even going to look at these cards, even though I really want to. Maybe I'll look at them and I won't share them. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll just put them back and I'll shuffle this. Okay. So Glaucus was not a warrior. Gladiolus, I think, is Latin for sword, or gladius. Glaudius. And Gladiolus might have been a warrior. I don't know. Okay, let's get back to Minos. So one of his sons died, but it was brought back to life in some roundabout killing a snake way. I saw the mother of Wands is a snake. And I kept saying Wands. The mother of Wands is a snake. And the Fool can be a child. And then Judgment is at the bottom of the deck. There's an energy of a redo here, a little bit. I don't know what all that is. It's a little bit of a redo because there's an element of prophecy. But going back to the tricky part of prophecy that came out in the Iacus spread, it doesn't always tell you how it plays out. It may, there may be an event foretold, but the series of circumstances and happenings that lead to that event unfolding aren't necessarily included. And when we're focused on the end goal and we neglect the in-between, sometimes we miss out on getting whatever fulfilled that we were promised or guaranteed. And so it feels like there's a little bit of an energy of a redo, but it comes in an Eight of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles kind of way. Like maybe in the past, there was a decision that you were juggling or balancing, or your priorities were different in the past. And so there was a choice you made that didn't lead to the fulfillment of whatever it is that you were hoping to be fulfilled. But if you realize where you made a mistake or what the error was, and with the Eight of Pentacles, if you diligently work towards progressing, it's almost like you'll meet the same crossroads again, but this time you'll make a different choice. And that'll be the fulfillment. That'll be the rebirth of Glaucus. Now, Glaucus was taught divination, but it was also lost through the exchange of fluids. And so in that regard, it's almost coming in under the energy of like a past life, or like in a previous incarnation, or it could also be ancestral. There was something that was done to warrant the gifting of something. But from one life to the next, it was lost. But anything gained is stored in the soul. So with that Eight of Pentacles, it's like the more you work on mastering whatever it is that you're spiritually in the process of working on, with that eighth pentacle being in the staff, the living staff, it's like it'll be returned and it'll know how to work. Okay, that's how I'm going to take that. Let's continue because I'm not trying to be on here all day. But that was interesting. I'm glad I read that. So back to Minos. By a nymph Perii, he had 4 sons, Eurymedon, Nephalion, Chrysis, and Philolaus, who were killed by Heracles in revenge for the murder of the latter's 2 companions. Heracles, that's interesting because it said that Minos chased Rhadamanthus out of Crete. Rhadamanthus became the stepfather to Heracles. Now Heracles ends up killing 4 sons of Minos. See, there's this weird web. How many kids did he have? By Dixithea, one of the Telechines or Telechenes, he had a son called Euxanthius. By Andromeda of Festus, he had Asterion, who commanded the Cretan contingent in the war between Dionysus and the Indians. Also given as his children are Uriale, I don't know, possibly the mother of Orion with Poseidon, and Pholigander, eponym of the island Pholiagandros. Minos, along with his brothers Rhadamanthus and Sarpedon, was raised by King Asterion, or Asterius, of Crete. When Asterion died, his throne was claimed by Minos, who banished Sarpedon, and according to some sources, Rhadamanthus too. We just talked about that. So, now into the mythological Minos. That was all the family stuff. We'll pull a card for the throne. Why not? I kind of want to pull one for Asterion and one for the throne. So one, or Asterion. Girl, she's back. She's back. I've been seeing this card so much. Asterion is the angel. The angel takes me, from yesterday, it goes back to the divine lineage. And then the throne. And the reason why I'm pulling for Asterion and the throne is because even if one king is different than another, he inherits that kingdom. And so there's a little bit of a comparison and an expectation. Now, for the throne, it's a whole bunch of cards. So it's the 10 of Cups and Judgment, the Joyous One and Apocalypse, Stronghold of the Zephyrs with the Scarlet Shield, and the Corruptor. The Archangel of Mysteries also came out. And then the Angel is here. So the throne, it does feel like a little bit of it carries an energy of a divine appointing. And then it would make sense why the angel is the king. But this corruptor, so it feels like there's an eye on the throne sent by this shield. So it feels like, again, we're coming upon the concept almost of worthiness. Okay. And then this judgment comes in between either the Joyous One or the Corruptor. It's like a test of our character. It's noticing the character. Because, again, something about this throne is divine. and right. And that's why the angel and the archangel of mysteries came out. But going back to everything that was going on with Glaucus, it's like there's something that died, that it's something lost that it still lives. It's like we don't truly forget anything. Also, I guess there's a little bit of an energy of promise made void. Because technically he taught Glaucus divination and fulfilled his promise, but then he made him forget. So then it's like, well, like, what was the point? Okay. So back into the mythology. Asterion, king of Crete, adopted the three sons of Zeus and Europa, Minos, Sarpedon, and Rhadamanthus. According to the Odyssey, he spoke with Zeus every 9 years for 9 years. That doesn't make sense. For 9 cycles? He spoke with Zeus every 9 years for 9 years. So, like, did he speak with Zeus 1 year and then 9 years later another year, another time? He got his law straight from Zeus himself. When Minos' son Androgeos had won the Panathenaic Games, the king Aegeus sent him to Marathon to fight a bull, resulting in the death of Androgeos. Outraged, Minos went to Athens. Oh, yeah, I remember this part. Minos went to Athens to avenge his son, and on the way he camped at Megara, where Nisos lived. Learning that Nisus' strength came from his hair, shout out to Samson, Minos gained the love of Scylla and her aid in cutting off her father's hair so that he could conquer the city. After his triumph, he punished Scylla for her treachery against her father by tying her to a boat and dragging her until she drowned. See, that's why I'm like, because I remember some of the story of Minos, and I'm like, why did you become one of the judges? Maybe I'll keep reading and find out. It's also interesting that 2 out of 3 of the judges are sons of Zeus. I can't remember if Aeacus was as well. I'm gonna look it up really quick. Because if he was, that would be really interesting. He was the son of Zeus by Aegina, daughter of the river god Aesopus. So all 3 of the judges are sons of Zeus. Okay. Minos gained the love of Scylla and her aid in cutting off her father's hair so he could conquer the city. Then he punished her. I feel like that deserves something. I don't know. This one, I guess this is the one where the shadow comes out or something. We'll see. I don't know what any of these are, by the way. I was just like, oh, Aeacus, Rhadamanthus, Minos. So this is the deception. I'm going to call it the deception because it seems shady. Oh, that's a whole bunch. So the deception is the shining dew, the keeper, the archangel commander, and the shining winds. Knights of cups and swords, king of swords, and the enlightened fool. Honestly, it feels like it's kind of magical. I mean, he is the son of Zeus, and the children of the gods, if they weren't being messed with by Hera, had some favor that let them do things that but then it's like you want to turn around and punish somebody. Actually, I'm just going to keep those for both. I'm going to keep that. It felt a little weird, but I'll keep it there. We'll see. Let's keep going. I'll put it back. I'll put it back. Because that ain't. I mean, it basically feels like he charmed her in some way and then was disgusted by what she had done. I need to find out what is happening today. It actually, I accidentally went to the beginning. Okay, give me a second. He punished Scylla for her treachery against her father by tying her to a boat and dragging her until she drowned. On arriving in Attica, he asked Zeus to punish the city, and the gods struck it with plague and hunger. That's what I was talking about. An oracle told the Athenians to meet any of Minos' demands if they wanted to escape the punishment. Minos then asked Athens to send 7 boys and 7 girls to Crete every 9 years to be sacrificed to the Minotaur, the offspring from the zoophilic encounter of Minos' wife Pasiphae with a certain bull that the king refused to sacrifice to Poseidon, which he had placed within a labyrinth he commanded his architect Daedalus to build. The Minotaur was defeated by the hero Theseus with the help of Minos' daughter Ariadne. So this is a little bit about Glaucus. One day Glaucus was playing with a ball of or mouse. Yeah, we read that part. So I guess I could have kept reading and we still would have come across the story of Glaucus. Poseidon, Daedalus, and Pasiphae. Minos justified his accession as king and prayed to Poseidon for a sign. Poseidon sent a giant white bull out of the sea. Minos was committed to sacrificing the bull to Poseidon, but then decided to substitute a different bull. Enraged, Poseidon cursed Pasiphae, Minos' wife, with a mad passion for the bull. Daedalus built her a wooden cow, which she hid inside. The bull mated with the wooden cow, and Pasiphae was impregnated by the bull, giving birth to a horrible monster, again named Asterius, the Minotaur, half man, half bull. Daedalus then built a complicated chamber that with its tangled windings perplexed the outward way. Called the Labyrinth, and Minos put the Minotaur in it. What's interesting about that chamber with perplexing windings that tangle that outward way, it gives an energy of something that you can navigate inside of very easily, but you can't get out of. Girl, so let's look at the bull. This is the second time sacrifice has come up. Why did sacrifice come up the first time? Why did it come up the first time? I don't remember. Oh, there we go. Well, it's the death card. So the first time we got sacrifice, it was the moon. The second time we get sacrifice, it's death. And then the nature of the labyrinth. I'll take this. Justice. So these sacrifices were the children. I think it was the same. I think I did the sacrifice for the children too. Above. Bottom of the deck is the convalescent. This is interesting. So in the Book of Maps, she says that the convalescent is actually death. But his scythe has turned into a sword. And that's the angel in the window. This is literally sitting under the angel. So here is the angel in death. Here's the convalescent. Okay. So with the corruptor and with the joyous one, and going back to the energy of the deception, I hope I remember this when I start pulling the other deck. It is a little bit of an energy of like there are certain gifts that we have, but they can be used in not great ways. And what we choose to do with our gifts is being noted in a sort of way. in a way. I don't know. Take it as it resonates, as always. To make sure no one would ever know the secret of who the Minotaur was and how to get out of the labyrinth, Daedalus knew both of these things. Minos imprisoned Daedalus and his son Icarus along with the monster. So Icarus and Daedalus were in the labyrinth. Yeah, see, there you go. Daedalus and Icarus flew away on wings Daedalus invented, but Icarus's wings melted because he flew too close to the sun. Icarus fell in the sea and drowned. Icarus drowned just like the Scylla drowned, pulled by the boat at the whim of Minos. Why is he a king? Minos' son Androgeus won every game in a contest hosted by Aegeus of Athens. Alternatively, the other contestants were jealous of Androgeus and killed him. Minos was angry and declared war on Athens. He offered the Athenians peace if they sent Minos 7 young men and 7 young virgin maidens to feed the Minotaur every year, which corresponded directly to the Minoans' meticulous records of lunar alignments. A full moon falls on the equinox once every 8 years. Did anybody know that? Is that real? A full moon falls on the equinox every 8 years, but then why is it every 9 years they make the sacrifice? Wait. If they sent Minos 7 young men and women to feed the Minotaur every year, to the Minoans' meticulous records of lunar alignments, a full moon falls on the equinoxes once every 8 years. We're having a full moon. We just came upon the equinox. That's interesting. This continued until Theseus killed the Minotaur with the help of Ariadne, Minos' love-struck daughter. So that's also interesting. There's something very almost karmic with Rhadamanthus and Minos. Because Minos, I don't want to say seduced Scylla, but because Minos won the love of the king's daughter, she helped him defeat him. And because his daughter won the love of Theseus, she helped Theseus defeat him. Minos was also part of the king Nisus story. Nisus was king of Megara, and he was invincible as long as, here we go, literally right here. I should just keep reading. Nisus was king of Megara, and he was invincible as long as a lock of crimson hair still existed, hidden in his white hair. Minos attacked Megara, but Nisus knew he could not be beaten because he still had his lock of crimson hair. His daughter Scylla fell in love with Minos and proved it by cutting the crimson hair off her father's head. Nisus died, and Megara fell to Crete. Minos spurned Scylla for disobeying her father. She was changed into a shearer bird, relentlessly pursued by her father, who was a falcon. So I wonder, because in this chronology, I guess, and it's just the order that they put it in, but now it's potentially Minos got the idea to have the daughter of the king betray the king because, Ariadne betrayed him and helped Theseus defeat. But I don't even know if that was a betrayal because after that, they didn't have to make the sacrifices anymore. And it's not like Theseus went out telling everybody the secret of the Minotaur. Daedalus and Icarus had also escaped. I'm going to pull a card. I'm not going to look at it. For the empty labyrinth. I hope I remember this one. And it'll be this one right here. I'll show you, but I won't look. That one, and I want another one. Oh, well, whatever that is. I'll put it here. That's the empty labyrinth. Oh, that's funny. I'll pull 2 more face down cards for the 2 face down cards in the beginning with the other sacrifice. So, in death, Minos searched for Daedalus by traveling from city to city asking a riddle. He presented a spiral seashell and asked for it to be strung all the way through. When he reached Camicus, Sicily, King Cocculus, knowing Daedalus would be able to solve the riddle, fetched the old man. He tied the string to an ant, which walked through the seashell, stringing it all the way through. Minos then knew Daedalus was in the court of King Cocculus and demanded he be handed over. So he's trying to make sure nobody knows about the secret, even though the Minotaur is dead. Cocculus managed to convince him to take a bath first. Then Cocculus's daughters and Daedalus, with Minos trapped in the bath, scalded him to death with boiling water. After his death, Minos became a judge of the dead in Hades together with Aeacus and Rhadamanthus. Rhadamanthus judged the souls of Asians, Aeacus judged Europeans, and Minos had the deciding vote. Easterners, Westerners, and the deciding vote. This isn't telling me why he was selected, though. But maybe that's why he also has the deciding vote. Right? So if ever there's a time that two judges agree, if Rhadamanthus and Aeacus agree on the judge of a soul, then Minos isn't needed. So it almost feels like some kind of consolation. How do you say that word? Prize? Not necessarily, but there's something weird here. There's something weird in the story. Because there are lots of sons of Zeus. The Keeper and the Malays are at the cut. I'm just going to leave this cut. Let's see. This one is interesting. This one probably had more drama than Rhadamanthus. But Rhadamanthus was the inflexible integrity. So even when subjected to the shenanigans of Minos, he still maintained his integrity. So I'm going to say 37-30 for the man, and we're just going to get into this. We'll see what comes out. So overall, the cards on the table now, 2 of them relate to sacrifice. The first one and the 5th one. The second one was like, why? I'm low-key tempted to pull up this video on my phone, scroll back and see why I pulled it. But they're face down, so it doesn't matter. The next one was the king. King Asterius or Asterion, who passed and left the throne to Minos. And so then the 4th one is the throne. The 5th one again is the sacrifice. The 6th one is the way it describes the labyrinth. These 2, I said I would forget, and I already have. They're also face down. The face down cards, I forgot what they were. Wait, was it the Minotaur? Was it the Minotaur? Because I feel like it was related to the sacrifice again somehow. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see as I go through these. There'll be fill-in points. Yeah, this one we may really take as it resonates. The Mother of Cups and the Fool came out at the bottom of the deck. That's interesting because the Fool has been with the Mother of Wands. And yesterday I was like, this Mother of Wands, or the Fool, like the egg that the Mother of Wands is guarding is not a snake egg. It's actually a bird egg, and that's why it becomes the Fool. And now the Fool and the Mother of Cups is at the bottom of the deck, which makes more sense. And look, oh, it happened again. It happened again. Oops. At the cut, the Mother of Cups and the Fool. Again. Oh, I'm about to put some reversals in here. No, I'm not. Actually, I might. I don't know. Oops. If they are reversed, then they are. The 7 of Swords and the Fool. 7 of Swords is the birthright card. And so it's like, as long as you think you're that snake, it will evade you. It's not until you realize that you're that goose that you'll find it. So the sacrifice is coming out with the 2 of Swords. I just saw the Mother of Cups again. I'm actually not going to take this. The Two of Swords just came out. The Two of Swords in this deck is about alignment for me. And I guess even in the SKT, where the sun and the moon meet, that's where our light and our dark sort of coexist for a singular purpose, not necessarily a singular purpose, but because they can occupy the same space at the same time, it creates something that can only be born out of a paradox. Something divine, I guess, that violates physical laws because one doesn't become the absence of the other. And since one isn't the absence of the other, they can be complete and whole as is. Because it's almost like in comparison, they don't operate in their fullness. There's like features and functionalities that you don't notice when you're comparing one against the other. So the sacrifice, oh my gosh. This sacrifice card is just flying out. Mother of Wands in reverse. And with the necromancer, that makes sense. So what has to be sacrificed here? It's basically all that we think we know. Going back to Radamanthus. And again, like I said, the Fool kept coming out with the Mother of Cups. Now the Mother of Wands is in reverse. Now the Fool is free to be reborn as the Mother of Cups that it should have been, rather than this Mother of Wands. And so there's a change in nature. And it feels like a change in affinity. Oh, okay. So it's low-key feeling like, I keep going back, Aeacus Radamanthus. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Aeacus. Minos had a certain birthright. The Seven of Swords did come out after with the Fool. It was the Seven of Swords and the Fool. Once the Mother of Wands goes in reverse, he can claim what is rightfully his that is held by the Mother of Cups. But it's like in the story, the Mother of Wands didn't go in reverse until after he had died. It's like throughout his whole life, he was living as a snake when he was a bird. Oh, and they talked about birds. Scylla was turned into a bird and chased by her father, the falcon. So that's this energy. We really need to go through the dark on this one and reemerge almost a completely new person. It's a change in nature. And it's honestly reminding me of, oh, look, the Seven of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, okay. It wasn't until the mother in the story, it wasn't until he died that he became, like his soul remembered how just and righteous he could have been. But that was a wise king that Earth didn't experience. And so maybe that's why he was demoted to having the deciding vote rather than being a judge himself. I mean, he still is a judge, but he's the tiebreaker, right? If the two agree, they don't need him. And that kind of makes sense. So it's this energy of like, oh, now the keeper and the Nine of Wands is starting to make more sense. Because the keeper is that, it's basically the all gifted. It is that ability. But with the Nine of Wands, it's like in his lifetime, during his incarnation, he never exercised the wisdom, the fairness, the justice that was within his soul. And I remember saying there was a little bit of a past life energy somewhere. It's kind of that. And I remember there was also an energy of like, don't misuse your gifts or don't misuse the authority that you have. Like, because his daddy was Zeus, he got mad at somebody and caused destruction, a plague hit. He was like, hey, they did it again. They made me angry. And that's why these are here. And then the Archangel Commander is behind the Keeper with the Knight of Swords, the Shining Zephyrs behind this. So the power is there. It's hidden though. Not that you can't find it. And it's like if you look in the mirror, you'll find it. Right? And then behind the malaise is this Queen of Pentacles. Last time we saw the Queen of Pentacles, or last time I saw the Queen of Pentacles, she was tempting someone away from something. Y'all remember the Eight of Pentacles, the journeyman, the one who was holding the orb and mastering it with the runes on her face? This is an energy coming to offer you what it is that you're supposed to work for, what it is that you're supposed to mature into. And so it's like some of those journeymen and journey women and journey people, some of those journeyers, instead of completing their seventh orb and coming into whatever that is, it's a lot, coming into all that is currently sort of unavailable, they take the one offered here. They don't complete sort of that mission in their lifetime. And before it's complete, it's like they reach the end of their lives. And so in that incarnation, it's never revealed fully. And because it isn't revealed fully or experienced fully in that in that incarnation. Is this, can y'all hear me? Oh my gosh, please. Wow. Hold up. So I think I just realized that my mic is muted. Oh, it's not. Oh, stop. Okay. So on the bottom of the screen, my dots aren't moving. I'm glad I didn't just shut this down and I checked. I was like, "Oop, ain't doing this one again." I guess Minos is gone. Minos took his secret to the grave. Because now it's like, imagine being in the underworld, right? And then you get judged by like Minos, and you're like, well, like I did better than you did when you were alive. What qualifies you to be a judge anyway? Hello. And it's like, well, I had the quality within me. I just didn't. But that's it's like, since we don't fully express it, it delays, it stunts our progression into the next cycle. And it's like you still make it into the next cycle, but you don't make it there as fully as you could have had you risen to the challenge and maintained whatever integrity, wisdom, good judgment that the other two kings did, right? Okay. All right. And again, it's fitting that it comes up with the moon, because with the Mother of Wands in reverse, it's like you have to sacrifice everything you know. The way of being, the way of interacting with people, how you interact with the world and view the world, how you go about getting the things that you want. With the Queen of Wands specifically, how you go about fulfilling your desires and the energy that you put out to attract it. It has to be given up. But something more. I mean, with the Seven of Swords and the Fool. Look, there's the Fool. The Fool and Judgment. Well, there's Judgment if you, whatever. You have to give it up and like seek something completely new. And on that journey, you'll find your birthright. You're not going to find it with that Queen of Wands upright. It's not going to happen. So now for the mystery cards. For the mystery cards, that means something that I don't remember. I guess I can take it to mean whatever happens with that when the full moon is on the eclipse. Full moon. Okay, let's get one more. Because she came out. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. So I'm going to look at these, but then I'll put them back in the deck. Well, actually, I'm not. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to look at these. There are these cards. Oh, I'm looking at them now. Okay. We're actually going to look at these. The bottom of the deck is the High Priestess. Honestly, the High Priestess, it's coming out as the energy of the universal witness. If you, even if no one else knows what you don't do or what you do, you know. And as per yesterday, it's not entirely possible to separate the self from the all. And the self is constantly watching, it's constantly aware. And so, even if no one else sees you, even if no one knows, even if no one is in the forest, when the tree falls, it still makes a sound because the tree knows that it fell. And then the higher self of the tree that is connected to the all knows that it fell because the self, the tree, knew that it fell. And now everyone knows that it fell, even when they don't know. And it's almost an energy of like, I don't know why, but it's almost an energy of like when someone has a secret and they're like, do they know? Do they know? And it's like, even though they don't know, everyone knows because the all knows, because the self knows. The self is always watching. I don't know. So the Chariot, the Seven of Cups, the Hanged Man, and the Eight of Swords all came out in reverse. I turned them up right because I'm going to put them back in the deck. And it kind of sort of is that energy of like the things that we think we can get away with moving forward in shady or in questionable ways, even though with that High Priestess, we know that we should do things differently. Or we know when we're doing something that, let's say, like violates the free will of another. Or we know when we're doing something that takes away from the opportunities or the happiness, or we know when we wrong someone else. But with all of this in reverse, it's like, and with the Mother of Wands in reverse, we don't care. It's a very selfish energy. The two cards that came out, it's the Daughter of Pentacles and the Four of Cups. This is the Daughter of Pentacles that I saw. Was it I think it was before Iacus, so it was probably when I was still at home. Or maybe I was here, I don't know. But the Daughter of Pentacles is like us thinking that we know what we're doing, us thinking that we're doing everything the right way. But because we hold on to everything we hold on to, we're not available to anything that we don't already have. And so it keeps us stuck in this Daughter of Pentacles. Stuck in the Daughter of Pentacles with the Eight of Swords in reverse and the Chariot in reverse. The two cards that came out are the Wheel of Life and the Healer. The Wheel of Life and the Healer, it's coming out with an energy that's honestly, it feels like the Six of Pentacles. When you act in that healing, when you make healed choices, when you decide that you aren't going to be the villain that someone else was to you, when you decide that you're going to go about doing things in a better way, then you put better into the universe. So it's kind of like these cards, it's coming out with the conversation between you, the self, and the all. So the self in this case, I want to say it would be Minos, because it's you and the all that make the decisions with the self in the middle. The self is impartial. It basically just observes in this instance. And so it's like you're trying to build a case on why you should have that fourth cup, why spirit should give you the fourth cup that you're not receiving. You're not satisfied with any of these three. Maybe doing some things that you know you shouldn't be doing to try to get it, but they don't work out. Stuck in this Daughter of Pentacles. And then it's like you're not putting enough light. You're not putting enough love. You're not putting enough compassion. You're not putting enough healing. You're not putting enough of the new stuff into the mixture to get this wheel to turn in any other way. It's like this is a water wheel, but all the water is being poured out onto the ground. So there's nothing to move the wheel. There's nothing to generate any power. And hopefully, we don't have to die to go, maybe I should have stopped doing that, or maybe I shouldn't do that. And I guess not every reading is necessarily going to be the most positive, but when it comes out like this, I feel like it's an opportunity for us to reflect and to do different if we choose to. to get more if we want to. Ooh, Two of Cups at the cut. What's that about? So next is Asterion, the king. Ooh, the Hierophant with the Chariot. Woo. Now, the king originally came out as the angel. The Eight of Pentacles. Look, there's the Eight of Pentacles with the Chariot. The Six of Wands with the Chariot. The Chariot is coming out on top of everything. The Father of Swords in the Chariot. Let's see. Yep, he took it. The Father of Swords took it because that's the knowing. And it's integrating the different pieces, even the ones that don't seemingly make sense. And I'm just going to pull off the top. It's the Mother of Cups. It's the Mother of Cups. Look at this. So we have the Mother of Wands in reverse with the Necromancer. That was what needs to be sacrificed, right? And now the Mother of Cups is coming out with the angel. This is the king. This is what we're descended from. And it's because we're descended from this energy that we have a right to the throne. So if we're acting in this energy, I don't know how long we can keep something meant for this. The Mother of Cups is intuitive. She's pre-High Priestess energy. The High Priestess was literally just at the bottom of the deck saying like, you know, you shouldn't be doing that stuff. And it's not necessarily judgmental, but if we're not doing what we need to do to get where we want to be, then we're not going to get there. And nothing is guaranteed to us. Nothing is owed to us. And a little bit of entitlement will have people doing all kinds of things. Oh, look, death in the lovers. Oh, gosh. Well, that's transformation and rebirth when it comes to our decision-making process. And the Father of Swords was just at the bottom of the deck. So makes sense, right? So this throne, and that's why it's that like we have the archangel who sends a messenger to observe. The archangel commander just came out somewhere. The archangel commander is behind the keeper. Yeah. The archangel commander is back here with the Knight of Swords. Oh my gosh, this is literally all of them. Seven of Pentacles is at the bottom of that deck. And now look, here's the Queen of Wands, which is the Mother of Wands in this deck. And behind her is her page. So in the throne, we have the Queen of Swords, the Scarlet Shield, and the Stronghold of Zephyrs. And then we have the Golden Shield with the Stronghold of Flames, with the Stronghold of Flame. We have the Shield and the Messenger on both sides. Now, under the Keeper, these are under those, but look, here's this Ace of Swords. Oh my gosh, the Ace of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles. This is the knowing that you continue to work on what you're working on, and you don't take whatever that Queen of Pentacles energy was offering. You don't take the shortcut. You continue to work on it, because this energy will have you doing all kinds of stuff for appearances, for status, because you desire it. But it doesn't really benefit or serve you. It's empty. It has no substance. And so between these two now, we have literally the whole suit of swords. So on the throne came out these two. She's watching. She sends her to watch and see he. That's a he in this deck. The Queen of Swords is a dude. He sends her to check on your progress. With the bird, it makes reports back to see if you're moving in the ways that you need to be in order to come into this and to have more of this bestowed upon you. Right? Because again, the nature of this throne is the angel with the Mother of Cups. And so even if it is your birthright, or even if you have some kind of claim to it, it's not just forfeited, it's not just given over. And that's why the Seven of Swords is there to protect it until you fulfill whatever conditions you need to fulfill. So that's what came out here. The Two of Pentacles, the Five of Wands, and the Chariot. I talked about the Two of Pentacles early being that balancing energy. The Two of Pentacles with the Eight of Pentacles, it's like whether or not you decide to continue mastering what it is that you need to master to come into the knowledge and awareness. It's like if Glaucus had studied divination, then he would have maintained the gift of divination. But Glaucus going about getting it the way he did, and maybe that's what it is. So, because it's an exchange of fluids, right? It's like if Glaucus had done his own Eight of Pentacles and had gained a knowledge of divination, if he had used whatever pieces he had available to him internally and externally, then him spitting in the mouth of, I don't remember his name, I already forgot, wouldn't have had him lose his knowledge. Because basically, Glaucus would just regurgitate whatever the person who taught him divination had taught him. And that's why when he spit back into his mouth, it all went back. This is putting in the hard work to move forward. And it's interesting because this, it's not birthright. It's not something that one just sort of like inherits, I guess. It's something that somebody proves. And that's why the Knight of Swords is behind the King of Swords. And I know I said recently, like, we're all going to be knights. Even if we become kings and queens, we're still going to be knights because we still live life and we continue to live life. So movement isn't necessarily something that ceases. Everything is in motion. And again, it's kind of sort of calling back to this energy, because even if we don't know where we're going, the Five of Wands in this deck is about a lack of focus. As long as we continue moving forward towards the sun, we'll get there. But as long as we continue with whatever that Mother of Wands in reverse energy is, it'll continue to evade us and we'll lose whatever it is that we have guaranteed. Oops, what is this? Oh, well, there's the Three of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles. It's cultivated heartbreak. It's cultivated disappointment. It's sowing seeds of the same crops that you've been getting that you don't want. It isn't anything new. It isn't anything innovative. It doesn't change the system or the paradigm at all. And that's why, again, like the healer was pouring the cups out onto the ground, nothing to move the wheel. It isn't retained. So sacrifice, okay. Sacrifice part 2 is the Seven of Cups. And I love this. Sacrifice part 2, this is us no longer choosing one of those 6 cups because one of the 6 cups is easier, but again, it has little to no substance. The moon is reflected sunlight. The moon carries no light in and of itself. The only reason why we see the moon, the only reason why we see any planet in the sky is because of the sun. Without the sun, we would see all of the other stars that are, however far away, but we wouldn't see anything like within our own solar system, be that esoterically or literally, right? And so this is seeking to get closer to the all instead of whatever shallow. And again, it feels it's entitled. It's like, my father is Zeus, my father is Asterion, I am the rightful heir to the throne. But like that throne, like there's a legacy here. And whatever that entitlement is, it runs counter that legacy. And even if, it's like the people themselves aren't going to tolerate you for long. They're not going to go from an angel, Mother of Cups, king or queen to a moon, Mother of Wands in reverse, king or queen. eventually they would revolt. And even their own like military would support them. Almost like Caesar. We just had the Ides of March not too long ago, but not quite. More like Caligula and Nero. Want to be Caesar, but not Caesar. So this next card was the Labyrinth. Yeah, the next card was the Labyrinth. So the Labyrinth is justice, but this is major arcana justice. This is cosmic law justice. And deviation from this is what would lead a lot of things to not work in the way that we think they should. And I don't know if like inheritance is necessarily recognized in cosmic law because we each have our own individual paths, right? And who's to say that our path isn't to have and lose and then build again? I don't know. So for this labyrinth, it's so interesting today. This is the Wheel of Fortune. Hey, here it is again. The Wheel of Fortune is with justice. And we just had the Seven of Cups that came out under Sacrifice Part 2. The energy that you choose, the energy that you feed is what you're going to continue to get with this Justice card. The moon is at the top of both of these. The easiest path is the moon. The easiest path is whatever that Queen of Pentacles energy hands you, rather than what you're already working on mastering with the Eight of Orbs, the journeyman. And you can call it a test, I guess, a test of character. But I mean, yesterday we had inflexible integrity. So inflexible integrity makes this choice every time. And because it makes this choice every time, it experiences this, where the sun is up top. But, you know, we're human and life is hard. I wonder what like a valid excuse is when it comes to spirit and like cosmic law or divine law or universal law. And it's like, yeah, but you know that piece of the divine that you have within you, your conscience, your Jiminy Cricket. Your Jiminy Cricket knows that you shouldn't have done that. And again, it goes back to that High Priestess that was at the bottom of the deck when all of those cards came out in reverse. It's like there's a part of you that knows. The self is always watching. The all is aware. And so you can't really lie. Energy doesn't, I'm not going to say it can't because, you know, but you know. So we have two cards face down ending this. A message for the face down cards, please. I might have to like drink some water after this or something. I might have to do a little calming meditation or something. Breathe. Might have to breathe. It's unfortunate, but I mean, we as people, a lot of times don't even do right by ourselves. And we expect for a lot of other people to. And like most of the people that you interact with, if not all of the people that you interact with, are also people, are also doing their best with the limited information, also maybe carrying some kind of entitlement or whatever. Ooh. The Hierophant and the Eight of Swords. That's old systems keeping people stuck, limiting that change, convincing you that you're some snake mother of cups when you're, or snake mother of wands when you're the mother of cups bird. Like, and it's not that there's anything wrong with snakes, but you're a bird. And so you operating in your bird nature brings you, it like, that's like a bird trying to learn how to like swim like a shark. If you stay under the water that long, you're going to drown. And it's not that one energy is whatever, but there's something about returning to our own nature or aligning with the truth of our nature. Honestly, there's this energy, I don't know what it is, but it's like soul affinity or soul elemental, like dignities or dignitaries or whatever. Or it's like if you have an earthen soul, then earthy things will work for you. If you have a watery soul, then watery things will work for you. If you have a fiery soul, then fiery things will work for you. And if you have an airy soul, airy things will work for you. If you have a light soul, light things will work for you. If you have a shadow aspected soul, shadow things will work for you. If you have an ether or all aspected soul, then maybe all things will work for you. But it's like with the Hierophant and the Eight of Swords, we're constantly seeking something outside of ourselves to get us there, to validate ourselves, and then we start operating off of a rubric that is completely misaligned to our own. And so then it's like no wonder why we never get where we're trying to go. We go like further and further off in directions that aren't necessarily for us. And it's about aligning with the true nature of your soul and whatever that means. I don't know. But it's a path of discovery, and we have to be willing to discover. Seven of Swords just fell out on the table. This is the return of the birthright through action, not because you were born into a certain family. The two cards that came out face down, it's the Eight of Swords and the Ace of Cups. This is the energy of universal love. This is the energy of spirit coming to free you from this prison, coming to free you from that old Hierophant. The Hierophant just came out with the Eight of Swords. Well, here's spirit trying to break you out. Like, I'm so much more than what the Hierophant even has the ability to communicate. But that's why the Hierophant leads you and guides you to me. And it's like this Scarlet Shield can't come herself or himself. He can't come himself. And so he sends the messenger with the message to get you closer to him. And along your journey, you're going to discover your power. And you're going to become this archangel commander. Now, the good thing about minor arcana and court cards is that, it's an energy that's a lot easier for us to embody. But as we do that, we do come into the keeper. And there are three fools in this deck: the initiate, the seeker, and the keeper. The initiate is probably more your like typical fool. It's the green man. It's the one fresh out the gate doing something completely new. The seeker is one who has some experience in a journey, but who needs more information to continue further. The keeper is one who's completed the journey from the magician to the world and who has incorporated something at every point, who has learned what they needed to learn and who can utilize it. And like, that's where this angel is trying to get you. But if we don't take the journey, then we don't go anywhere. We don't get there. And again, like, you can only follow the Hierophant so far. At some point, you got to have something within you that you trust enough to guide you further. The Hierophant isn't designed to be a substitute or a replacement for the divine. It's to get you closer. Hierophants, back in the day when people weren't as educated because, they were serfs or whatever, the kings and queens valued education. And so they made it difficult for people in lower statuses or whatever to have the time or the access to education. And so the Hierophant comes in to teach even those who can't read scripture. And now because they know scripture, they can get closer to the divine, even though they can't read the Bible or whatever the book is, right? The Hierophant has always been the tool to get you closer. But at some point, the Hierophant began to take on a power of its own. And then it began to limit access. It began to place itself as the authority. But here is spirit. Here's the truth of spirit. That's like, and it's like, I don't know. Sometimes we believe certain things, and it's like, I don't see where we would find the divine in that. Because there's like no love in that. There's no compassion. It's greedy. It's self-motivated. But Hierophant, well, Hierophant can sell people anything almost. And then here's the dark visions. And then here's the hermit. Wow, but the moon and the 9 of wands. The Hierophant can get you this far. You have to go the rest of the way on your own. Here's the 9. And so it's like, we go as far as this and we're like banging our head against the wall. Like, why can't I go any further? Why can't I hit the 10? Why can't I begin the new cycle? Why am I stuck at the end of this one? Why do I feel like I'm like at a dead end? And it's to take the lantern and go into the night to reclaim. See, like this, the 2 cards of sacrifice again. We need to drop this Mother of Wands, go through this death process, and find the 1 cup that works for us. There are 6 that don't. And like with it being the moon, like it takes you partially there. It's not that it's completely void, but I think sometimes we take things completely instead of taking the parts that resonate. Right? Take the parts that resonate, because the entire message may not be for you. The entire practice may not be for you. And sometimes it's like, well, if a little bit works, or if this percentage of it works, then all of it should work. And then we try to force ourselves into things that don't really work for us. And, you'll come across people who will be like, I got into this and then I got into that. And then I was into a whole lot of stuff that weren't me. And now I'm like going completely back to, I don't know. But it's like, along the way, we should never lose ourselves. That's the one thing that the hermit does right. He carries the self with him, or her, or they carry the self with them. So I'm going to shuffle these up, get some final cards. I know it's like, it isn't easy. Honestly, like I've always been the type of person to think for myself. And I'm not to say that like other people don't think for themselves, but like I just haven't found anything or anyone for me that like 100% resonate. Every single thing they say resonates for me. Right. And like, not talking about a personal reading or whatever. And so for me, it's always been, okay, like I'll take what makes sense, and then what doesn't make sense, I'll just continue on. And it served me well because, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I could do that I just don't, because for me, it doesn't make sense. Like when I try to light those incense and then I smoke myself out, right? Now you could say that's because I'm dumb, but it's not something that is within my modality. And it's not that, I don't mind branching out, but I don't know, don't really have to. The champion. With the lovers at the bottom of the deck, 2 6s. But you see that? That orb, that one orb, separate from the other ones. It requires work, it requires effort. It isn't necessarily, it requires work and effort to reach that point. But once you get it, it should be relatively effortless, right? This staff in the knee, this scepter in the knee was from battle. That didn't happen like once she sat on the throne. The sacrifice happens before. What's under the lovers? Ooh, the Knight of Pentacles. So it's the Phoenix. Or is that the dragon? It's the dragon. The Knight of Pentacles is the dragon, because they're looking in the same direction. Hey, and that's the one with more pentacles, so I guess it makes sense. I don't know. Take it as it resonates as always, right? I'm going to say like 118-ish is like final shuffles. This was like a little, like the last 2 were so like not fiery, but Again, I guess not everyone will be like that, especially if you look at all three of them. Final-ish. Oops, oosh. Final message is whoop, 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 whoop. All right. Zoidberg. Now my throat's getting so dry. It's getting dry. The champion, it's like, I don't know, it's not too late. And we shouldn't have to make it to our deathbeds to be like, oh, I wish I would have done that. And I wish I would have done this other thing. Like, I'm not perfect, but I don't have any, I don't have any regrets from, at least from like 2020 to now. Last year was rough. Last year was a lot, but I chose over and over again to align to what I want, to align to what I desire, and to heal more and more, and to get rid of more baggage that didn't serve me, narratives, ways of being, things that I did to protect myself. Also, the first episode of the podcast comes out today. I'm excited about that. I guess I'll post a video when it actually goes live, and I'll link it in that video. We recorded an episode yesterday talking about full moon in Libra and a bunch of stuff, and things got like real personal. And I guess for me, that's the benefit of doing it with one of my best friends. I mean, she's the best friend that I've had the longest. And I have like several best friends. I just like calling them my best friend. But that's one of the benefits of doing it with her, is that openness and vulnerability is a lot easier. And it goes there, and I didn't expect to go there. You see who chilling at the bottom of the deck? I mean, I guess like not to like poop on the Mother of Wands, because again, that energy in its arena, in its sphere, is great. But when it starts bleeding into other things and corrupting other influences to the point where those things can't operate as they naturally are, then that's when it becomes a problem. When it causes standstills with that hangman, that's when it becomes a problem. Anything in excess can be bad. And sometimes it's a fairly fine line between medicinal and toxic. Because I think like the lethal dose of Tylenol may be 8 tablets, but people take like 4 to 6 or something like that. I took dosage forms 1 and 2 a long time ago. I know a little bit about medicine. Hopefully I will know more soon. Bottom of the deck is the Father of Swords. Woo! The Sun and the Heron came out. The Sun and Temperance. With the Father of Swords at the bottom of the deck, this is knowing how to preserve the fire even in the presence of water, and how to preserve water even in the presence of fire. Because too much fire can douse water. Too much water can douse fire. Too much fire can evaporate water. It's keeping them in balance. And this is living from that space of balance. And because we live from that space of balance, we experience more of this. And because I did it last time, oh, look, the Fool with the moon behind it. The Fool goes into the woods and comes out the King of Swords. It's another bird. It's not a snake. And the King of Swords knows all that the Mother of Cups is capable of. And so even if the King of Swords thinks it's a bunch of mystical mumbo jumbo that don't make much sense, he still knows to listen to it. Even if he can't explain it, even if he doesn't know how or why it works, a higher aligned King of Swords energy will listen because he knows that it's right. And it's not about what makes sense or what doesn't make sense. And it's not about appearances. It's about what's right when it comes to the King of Swords. That's why the Queen of Swords can be like a minor justice energy, right? So that's what I got. I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope you are taking the challenges and opportunities to come into all that you want to come into. I hope that you find the strength to do what you need to do. I hope when you need it the most, you find a moment of reprieve and a breath that you can take worry free. I hope that you reach a point in your own life where, like, a bad day or a bad week or even a bad month doesn't completely tip the scales back towards whatever experiences and set of experiences you don't want. I hope you find it within you to do all that you need to do for you to be where you want to be. And with that, I will catch y'all maybe later, depending on when it goes up, or like next week. I'll catch y'all when I catch y'all. Y'all see me when you see me. All right, bye. Bye bye.